Good evening. Welcome to Donkey Talk. Tonight we have a really amazing young man on the show, Nate Ramirez, who I see in the future maybe getting a little bit more involved in politics, I hope. He's sure the perfect fit for it. Welcome to the show, Nate.
Thank you for having me.
You bet. Well, on the show, what we like to do, or what I like to do, I guess, is start at the very beginning.
Okay.
Where when you're younger and then you progress and talk about what's brought you into politics and being a Democrat. So what about your youth?
Well, I am actually originally from Carlisle, Iowa, which is like 10 minutes south of Des Moines.
Mm-hmm.
And there's more like Casey's there than there are Democrats. So I was pretty outnumbered. And as far as that goes, I was just raised in a very blue-collar family, and it was always beat into me pretty religiously to accept everybody, and nothing's given to you but to have sympathy for those who need a little extra help and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, it's just the life I've always known and something I've grown to, even as I've grown my own opinions, to just agree with a lot more.
That's
So,
awesome.
yeah.
What about grade school and stuff? I mean, what were you like in grade school and high school? Were you an advocate for anything? Or
I don't know. Probably no. I wasn't. I was a decent student, but I was just more about kind of hanging out, having a decent time, and no, I didn't advocate for too much.
Didn't you?
I was really involved in like all the history classes and things like that, the government classes, and I always voiced a pretty strong opinion in that.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes I think that the rhetoric that I use, being from a smaller town, people don't necessarily believe all the time that I am as liberal as I am, but I always tried to voice it as best I possibly could. I was also involved in a leadership program down in Des Moines called the Youth Leadership Initiative.
Neat.
And so now what that was, it was an accumulation of a bunch of people from schools all over the metro area, including homeschooled kids.
Mm-hmm.
And so we'd go around and we'd get to know Des Moines businesses and just kind of get to know the Des Moines area, but at the same time progressing as leaders to advocate for either it's something that we believe in or advocating for a group or even the city as a whole, because I mean that's kind of Iowa's sort of a flyover
Right.
state, and Des Moines, it is a very special place, and it holds a near and dear spot in my heart. But so that was awesome, and I got to know a lot of people and get some great connections through that.
Mm-hmm.
We actually did a service project, so all the curriculum is based around a service project at the end of the year,
Mm-hmm.
where you go to some nonprofit organization and you do something to help them out, and you're given like a $200 budget or something like that. And
That's neat.
yeah, it was incredible. And so we did an animal rescue league, and we repainted everything for them. I'm a painter too, so it was really neat.
What
And
kind of painter? What do you mean?
just interior and exterior
Oh,
stuff like
neat.
that. It's just a little bit of side work, you know.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, something I've been doing for a long time, so some nice, easy money here and
Few
there.
bucks on the side.
Absolutely.
Good for you. Well, you're on my affirmative action committee, and which I'm really excited about, and you have a Latino background,
Right.
so, which is really neat because we love the diversity. So, what is your idea of being on the affirmative action? Getting into politics? What's your passion?
My passion is more or less just kind of treat people the way that they deserve to be treated, regardless of anything. And, affirmative action, I think, kind of has a little bit of a negative connotation as far as, people think it's all about race and things like that, but it's not. And you obviously know that. It's standing up for single moms. It's standing up for laborers, things like that.
Right.
My dad's a union representative, and I am so proud to be a part of a union family just due to the fact that they stand for some fantastic things. And that, to me, is how I interpret that affirmative action. And, it's kind of uncommon to see people my age get involved in things like that and have a voice. And I think that people my age are sick of having their opinions represented by people who are 40 or 50 years older than them. And so I thought it was just a great
time
opportunity.
to step up.
Yeah, absolutely.
I love it. I want you guys to step up. You millennials are going to change things.
I appreciate
Because
you
you're
saying
very sharp. You're very focused. You're compassionate. You see the bigger picture. Even the environmental issues today
that. No.
are just incredible. I mean, when you look at California and stuff. So tell me some of the other things that you support.
So, like I said, the biggest reason is I'm a very big pro-union guy. I believe that workers should be able to fight for their voice, essentially, and things like that, whether they get wrongfully fired or they get hurt on the job, things like that. And so I stand for that quite a bit, and that does tie into the affirmative action a little bit,
Oh, absolutely.
I really just I do support that. I think that people should be paid a livable wage for doing honest work. I mean, there can only be so many doctors and lawyers in the world. We're never going to run out of construction workers. We're never going to run out of carpenters or plumbers or electricians, things like that. And I feel like people definitely kind of look down on them almost, and they're doing the work that without them we wouldn't have anything. We wouldn't have the buildings that we work in, that the doctors or lawyers could work in. We wouldn't have the roads that you guys commute on, So kind of giving a voice to the common man a lot of times.
Even the people that work at Walmart, they're making it animated now so that you can go in and check out yourself. And so they're taking the jobs away for people to be there to check people out. I mean,
yeah,
that's kind of scary too because,
Yeah, and I feel like a lot of Republicans complain a lot about there not being jobs in America or companies outsourcing, but I mean, they're kind of playing devil's advocate there because I mean they're the ones who are siding with all of them.
Right.
It just doesn't sit too well with me, I guess.
That's great. Now you're pro-choice.
Extremely.
That's awesome.
Extremely. That's a big. So, Carlisle is the greatest town on earth. You should go there sometime, especially around Christmas. It's
Really?
great. I love it, and I can't wait to be back. But there are a lot of very strict Christians there, and I mean everywhere
Oh,
there
yeah,
is.
yeah.
But you kind of small town Iowa, you're going to get a lot of that.
You respect it.
Absolutely. And my personal opinion, to a certain degree, is that abortion it's a medical practice. It's not something you can just take away from somebody because you don't like it. I mean, back when heart transplants were becoming a thing, there was a lot of radical religious groups who thought people were playing God. Well, I mean, now that stuff happens every single day.
Right.
And people don't think twice about it. And when people ask me, let me rephrase that. I always tell people that, it's not my choice, and you don't have any position to tell somebody what else to do with it. I will never have to experience an abortion, obviously. But, when people ask me what my position on it is, my response is pretty standard in that it's just none of my damn business, So.
I completely agree with that.
Yeah.
It's when I come across someone that is really extremely against abortion, I just look at them and I said, so how many children have you adopted? And they look at me and I go, you don't have any voice to say anything unless you've adopted those kids.
Absolutely.
Because raising them is a lot different than sitting there saying you can't do this. Because it takes money, it takes time, well, I've had 6, so I have a good idea
Imagine,
what it takes
geez.
to raise kids. So,
Wow.
yeah, I tell you, that's a quick way to stop the conversation.
I guess I've never thought of it. I'll have to start using that.
Yeah,
That's
use
pretty
that
good.
one.
That's pretty good.
That's right. So, what are your feelings about healthcare?
That's another really big one. Like I said, for the later part of my life, I've been extremely blessed with the best healthcare in the state from my dad's job, and my family's totally reaped the benefits of that, definitely. But as far as that goes, my mom was a single mom for a long time, and I have two sisters who were born 2 months premature, twins.
Oh, wow.
And, you know, even tying back into the abortion thing, she was at the point in her pregnancy where it was, you can either, get an abortion, or, you can face your death, or just being crippled forever by these medical bills, because it is going to take more than a miracle to keep these kids alive. And, they were essentially kind of, I don't like to use this word, but they're like parasites to her almost.
Yeah.
And they're 11 or 12 now, something like that, in that range.
That's awesome.
Yeah, no, and they're doing very well. One of them has a lot of medical issues still, but they are doing fantastic, and that is 100% to the medical field and where the care they were provided. But that's something that we couldn't afford at the time.
So how'd you do that?
I was pretty young, so I'm not exactly sure how she went about it. There was a lot of support from the community, a lot of support from family.
That's awesome. That's the way it's supposed to be.
And it should be, but not everybody has that luxury.
That's right.
And like I said, my dad is in unions, so if the laws were to change, his job is completely gone. He's a union representative, so he's kind of like their lawyer, essentially. If they take away collective bargaining rights, his job is gone. Their health care is gone. And, we don't really have any backup to that. So for me, just like that, it's not my position to tell somebody whether or not they can have health care. And I find it extremely hard to wrap my mind around the concept of spending the amount of money that we do on military funding and foreign aid.
I completely agree.
Things like that, but we're not taking care of our own citizens. And we have a president who ran his entire campaign on America First, and the first thing that he wanted to do was gut the one thing that every American needs, and that is health care. I mean, everybody is born with the primal instinct to survive.
Right.
And there are people who are qualified to sustain that survival, and we're trying to get rid of, in essence, what it kind of boils down to is their idea of a surplus population. We're trying to get rid of them and not give them what they need because they don't meet the quota of successful enough to earn health care. That's not it's not a privilege.
It's funny. I was just posted something the other day on Facebook, and this guy had done research, and I forget how many years difference it was, 14 or 15 years, that wealthy people live 14 to 15 years longer than poor people.
Absolutely.
I mean,
that's insane.
And there's countries that have health care, free health care.
Yeah.
Why can't we do that? I mean, why are we not doing that? That's the question.
Yeah, I don't know. I would love to answer that. And it's just
Canada.
There's a ton of them.
Oh,
I can't begin to name them off the top of my head. Canada's the big one. I mean, and it's not like we're comparing apples and oranges. No. It's not like, we have a bigger population than Canada or Sweden or something like. Absolutely, we do. But that also means that we have all the more resources and all the more tax dollars to come in.
Exactly.
And fix that problem. And it's hard to come by somebody who's either on the fence or leans one way or the other a little bit more to step up and be like, this is a right. This is a human right. This is absurd. If you guys are going to fund all this money into the largest military of all time, and it's only growing more. And I'm not trying to take away from the military, obviously.
Well, no, the servicemen, their hearts are right.
Absolutely.
You wouldn't believe the things I've posted on Facebook about. They're upset. They're upset with what's going on and what they're being put through when it's not right with what our government's doing.
I imagine.
And what we're doing to other countries and babies and we're giving them the guns most of the time. How did they get by with that? I don't know.
It's frightening, and it's to me it's one of those things that you got to take care of on the small scale first, build up off of that. I don't think that we're going to elect somebody in office, they're going to snap their fingers, and everybody's going to have health care. Believe me. But it's been something that's been talked about in America since the 30s. You know,
Well,
it's absurd to me that nothing's been done. Well, obviously something's been done for it, but now that something has been done after 80-something years of us talking about it, they're trying to gut it at the source.
I know. Well, I did a sauna with this guy. Actually, he was a music teacher at West High, and they travel all over, he and his wife, and they were like in Italy or someplace, and he got really sick, so he had to go to the hospital. So he went to the hospital, and he went in and saw the doctor and whatever. So then he goes out and he gets his checkbook out, and he said, and so she goes, let me get your prescription. So she goes up and she picks up these vials of herbs and tinctures, not drugs, and gives him these tinctures and herbs to take. And so then he goes, how much do I owe you? And she goes, oh, you don't owe us anything.
Really?
And he was in a foreign country.
Wow.
Isn't that awesome?
That is.
He said, I couldn't
incredible.
believe it. I didn't owe them anything. And then they didn't give me pharmaceutical drugs. They actually gave me, and he said it cleared it up.
Really?
Yeah. They are so much more advanced or open-minded to all of that over in Europe.
I imagine. Yeah.
No GMOs. They won't do any GMOs. They've taken them out of Europe. We're the only country that has GMOs right
Really?
now. I think, Bulgaria got rid of them. A bunch of them have gotten rid of GMOs.
I mean, a lot of it is just people follow the money. And, I mean,
Oh, yeah.
for the right reasons, for not the right reasons, it's not my place to decide that, obviously, being a 19-year-old college student. But, people do. I mean, they do. They follow the money. And there was money in the GMOs, and there's money in pharmaceuticals, obviously. There's money in oil companies, and, money talks for a lot of people, unfortunately.
I think it is your right for you guys to stand up. And, I think it's time for women to stand up. We've been docile because we've been taking care of the family, and we don't like conflict, and that a lot of women are like that.
Sure.
But since this change in our government, I'll tell you what, it's really put a flame under women.
I've noticed that.
Women
for
are
sure.
stepping up because it's our children that are going to war. And if there's any way you can not make that happen, I think a woman president would go for that.
Yeah,
Hopefully.
absolutely. I'm a big Joe Biden guy. Joe Biden 2020. I'm calling it. I'm telling you. But no, absolutely. And kind of stemming off what you're saying, I mean, we have kids who are enlisting in the military to fight a battle that was started before they were even born. I mean, that's kind of, it's sickening almost. Mm-hmm. And, I'm not smart enough to tell you whether or not we're there for the right reasons. If it started out that way or not, started with good intentions.
Why would we be there so long?
That's the only
ridiculous.
issue I do have.
I know they're saying that they're helping them fix it up, but I don't know. I mean, why are we still there? But I agree. So tell me, what are your future plans in politics?
I was dreading that.
Oh,
I was dreading that. I'm not sure, to be honest with you.
Do you have any aspirations? It's okay to have aspirations.
No, absolutely. No, I mean, I've definitely pondered it quite a bit. I definitely want to get some credentials under my belt prior to doing anything like that.
Like what?
Well, a college degree to start with.
Where are you working at? Where are you going?
I am going to Hawkeye right now.
Mm-hmm. Good for you.
Followed my girlfriend up here, so but we eventually plan to move back to Des Moines. Mm-hmm. Definitely get involved in some things there for sure. And there's some great people down in that area, and there's some great opportunities for people to move forward. And I love to see that. Being up here, I don't know. I mean, definitely being involved in the Democratic Party on the affirmative action board,
I love
100%.
I'm great.
My uncle ran for political office. Mm-hmm. He won once on the city council and then lost the next election. So my personal goal was to win 2 elections to beat him. Mm-hmm.
I can see you going further than that. Are you going to go on to Are you going to go to Hawkeye and then go on to a traditional college after that?
Possibly, depending. Mm-hmm. I'd like to see kind of where my visions are as far as that goes.
What fits in?
Yeah.
Like political science or something?
Yeah. No, for sure. I definitely plan to advocate for pressing issues for the rest of my life. I don't think that I'm definitely not one to be kind of just sort of pushed over and accept certain things.
Docile about it, yeah.
Yeah, and so I definitely foresee that happening, a possible, I don't know, state election. I could see that for sure. And then, of course, after that, I would just need to kind of play it by ear, I do appreciate you, though, thinking I've got
Oh, I do.
a lot of
So
potential.
what do you feel about the gun laws?
Oh, that's a big one. For me, I don't know. It's one of those things I try not to talk about too much. I've got all of my best friends are exceptionally conservative. So, I start talking about gun laws, or if they bring it up and then they start throwing information at me that I have no idea what they're talking about. I can't tell you different types of guns. I mean, obviously different types of guns, but you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
I don't know
them, yeah.
I don't have an encyclopedia of guns at my house to try to figure that out. But as far as that goes, I do think it is ridiculously easy to get a gun, and it's almost kind of shameful that people are so ignorant to that kind of change. And I mean, things change, and there are laws put in place to make things safer. Gun safety laws, right off the bat. I mean, hunter safety. How long has that been around? I can tell you that hunting and guns have been around for a lot longer than hunter safety has been around.
Right.
It's just certain things like that it was a Republican idea to have a common sense government. So I don't know why they're so hesitant to having common sense gun laws. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. Absolutely. Those guns that shoot 40 bullets, why would we need those kind of guns?
Yeah, and
that's not even fair for animals. I mean, I think they should have a bow and an arrow. That's at least fair. You go out there with a gun, that animal doesn't have a chance of survival. Of course, I wouldn't do it anyway. I don't kill animals, but
right. I mean, I get what you're saying for sure, and I don't want to
what's fair, I mean,
sure. I mean, and I'm not one to debate about gun laws. To me, it's something that, kind of like I said, I don't have enough information to have a legitimate opinion on it, other than I don't think it should be that easy.
My brother's hunt, we were raised on a farm,
Sure.
So they could always go out and shoot clay pigeons. Why do they have to hunt animals? Those things that fly in the air they want to shoot. Yeah. That's me anyway. I'm pretty much pacifist when it comes to any of that.
I suppose.
So, your political plans. So, what would you like to share for people your age? I mean, what would you like to tell them, and why they should get involved in politics right now?
No, for sure. And I think it's that camera. Middle one?
You're in the middle.
Okay, yeah. What I would say to them is just that whether it seems like you are or not, you're going to grow up, and you will be 40, you'll be 50. You're going to be at the age where you're the ones who are making the decisions, so you should go in there with your guns loaded, knowing what you're talking about and knowing what you stand for, then instead of being pushing around and things like that. I think that the time is now to wake up. Who's to say that we'll have an Earth in 60 years? Honestly, that is something that is so far beyond me that we are facing legitimate global destruction of our own creation. And it's not going to affect the people that are in office right now. It is not going to affect your parents or your grandparents. It will affect us. It will affect our children.
That's right.
It will affect our grandchildren. It's simple things like that it's easy to not care right now. It's easy to be complacent. It's easy to just push things off. And I totally understand that. But, tomorrow is just a day away. And
it goes fast. It's amazing how fast time goes.
Yeah.
Think about it. In the last year, where did last year go? Whew, just flew right by.
No kidding.
Yeah, I love that word. What you said in there. I had to write it down. Wake up.
Yeah.
That's what we need to have a sign. Wake up, America, Democratic Party. Wake up. Don't you love that?
I do. I love that.
That is great. I'm going to have to go to Vicki Brown about that, our chair. We're going to talk about that.
That's a good idea.
Wake up, America.
I like that. And like I said, just as far as complacency goes, people just, I mean, and it's more than just younger people.
Mm-hmm.
You get a lot of people 30, 40-year-old range who, you know, their vote doesn't matter, my vote doesn't matter, I'm just not going to care. Okay, well you should care. You know, even if it is a vote, regardless, you're doing something. And
Mm-hmm.
if you're sick of your vote not counting, get involved. Make it count.
Oh, yeah.
Who's to say that I can't go door to door and talk to people and get 10 votes out of my one vote?
The last election, our area, from what, you know, we're downtown
Mm-hmm.
here, in this area, actually went Democratic because people went out and pounded doors. It did make a difference.
It does.
It really does.
I mean, it's more or less just a matter of sitting down and saying, hey, listen, I'm not happy with where we are. I'm not happy when I turn on the news in the morning and I see the things that I see on there. I'm not happy with the fact that friendships and relationships with families are ended due to politics.
Oh, that's
Don't
sad.
let politics define who you are. You know, when people ask me who I am, I tell them I'm Nate Ramirez. I don't tell them I'm a Democrat. I don't tell them I'm half Mexican. I don't. Those things don't define you. What defines you
Right.
is your personality. So stand up for what you believe in, whether it is left or right, but also be willing to work with the other people. And
Be
that's
open.
Exact. Just
To
open
listen.
your mind a little bit and say, you know what? Even if these things aren't personally affecting me right now,
Mm-hmm.
they will, or they're going to affect somebody that I know, or somebody that I love. It's going to affect somebody that they love.
That's right.
Have some compassion and have the knowledge and the drive to just at least be informed and voice your opinion.
Powerful. Give me 5. That was good. All right. Well, we're coming to the end of the show. Thank you, Nate, for being on the show. And so we will end this as Wake Up America, Wake Up Millennials. It's time for change.
It's time for change.
It's time for change. Thanks. God bless. Have a nice evening.
We are in this together, molding the earth with our hands.
We are in this together. Unity must be our plan.
Unity must be our stand.
Rebirthing new thoughts, questioning our wants.
Spreading our wings, freedom